really care how long it takes me. Though in the moment, of course, it always feels a little bit like, okay, when is it gonna come?
All right, so you might have followed me back in the day from my manifestation TikTok. That's maybe why you know me, or my Gita content, but mostly like I think I got a lot more engagement and like followers and stuff during like my manifesting SP time, specific person time. And I'm nervous to make this video. I don't know why. All right, everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna be talking about manifesting your SP or other things, because it's the same process no matter what you're going for. The reason why I haven't made a lot of manifestation TikToks and videos in the past like year or so is because the topic just makes me a little nervous. I get nervous talking about manifestation because I just don't want you to get so tied to desires. And if I keep talking about manifestation and like keep talking about manifesting your desires and manifest your desires, I started getting really sick of those three words. And then my content kind of shifted to the Bhagavad Gita because I was shifting towards the Bhagavad Gita. And you guys know, I mean, if you've been following me for 4 years, you know that my content is a reflection of what's going on in my life. I don't fabricate anything. This is exactly what's going on in my mind. And I'm very open and honest with you because I think you deserve that, especially since we're talking about spirituality, mental health, and religion. You know, like transparency is essential. But I'm nervous to talk about this because I don't want this video to confuse you. I want you to understand what manifestation is on its core basic concept. We're gonna use the law of assumption to guide this conversation. I'm going to reference my healing journey. I'm going to reference some TikToks that I've posted over the years on this because frankly, I'm not in that process right now. I'm going to be, and that's kind of why I'm making this video. I'm going to be consciously manifesting something. Yeah, this is gonna be just a little bit of a Q&A and also just disclaimers and disclaimers and disclaimers that I just want you to learn the process. I do not want you to be tied to desires. So let's figure out how we're gonna have this conversation. I brought out my old notebook. This is from, let's see, 2021, I wanna say. Yeah, November 2021, November 4th, 2021, new moon in Scorpio. I was manifesting my marriage that I'm in right now. I'm gonna give a quick background. My boyfriend and I, at the time, we broke up and it was, and it was a lot for me because we broke up twice. It was a tough time. I was not understanding like why we broke up, what had happened. We weren't really talking. It was like no contact. So the first time was super, super, super rough. And then when he came back into my life, like 3 months after that, we started again. We tried to date again and we broke up like really quick after that, like maybe 3-4 months after that, and then we broke up again for 3 months. So like all of 2021 was basically just like us being in a relationship and then not in a relationship. And I had written down the second time that we broke up because that's, I think, when you guys started following me was like the end of 2021. That's when we broke up for the second time, and it was a lot different of an experience because the law of assumption kind of came into my worldview. And when the law of assumption came into my worldview, my entire life changed for the better, like literally 180 switch. And I think you guys saw that in real time. And I started healing sessions. I started working with like 60 different women. We did healing sessions for a year, and I helped a bunch of people manifest whatever they were looking to manifest back, or at least gave them the tools to help them manifest whatever they were looking to do. I guess I'm nervous to make this video because it opens me up again, and I don't know. It's been a tough ride on social media, but we'll save that conversation for another day. But this opens me up. It makes me very vulnerable. And you know what? Whatever. Life is short. I'm here to help you, and I think manifestation and this whole world that we're about to talk about, this whole spiritual world and like kind of like the Western philosophies to this side of things is beneficial for people because it's making them audit their thoughts. And if that's like the one thing that I could leave you with, it's auditing your thoughts, letting go of desire. Those are the two ways that you're going to get what you want. And so let's start from the beginning, right? You have a desire, right? The first thing that you need to realize is that desires they can be seasonal, they can be fleeting. So like, for example, I might want a cup of coffee in the morning, but do I need a cup of coffee right now? Not really. So like, I might have a desire for coffee every single morning, but I don't necessarily have that desire throughout the day. So some desires can be fleeting, some desires stay with us, and some things are just like things that we want, right? So we're now going to be talking about the things that stick with us, because if this is a desire, like if you broke up with your boyfriend, you really feel like he's the right person for you, and you are, adamant on that, and you know for a fact that this is your person, you don't need to qualify what your desire is to me, and you barely need to do that for yourself. If you want something, you want something. I wouldn't think about it in the way of like, does the universe want this for me? Does this want this for me? Does this want this for me? Like, that's part of the letting go process. So I wouldn't confuse yourself with, is this meant for me, or am I forcing something to happen? Manifestation is not forcing something to happen. It's not witchcraft. You're not performing a ritual on somebody and dragging them by their collar back into your life. That is not what manifesting a specific person is.
This time last year, I think I thought I was manifesting my SP, but really I was manifesting the version of myself that could embrace a healthy relationship. And now that I'm engaged, I'm like looking back at all of my journaling from the 11/11 portal last year, and I'm like, wow, like everything did manifest. And, I wrote down like my intention is to be in a healthy, happy relationship. We're so happy, peaceful, and easygoing. And I thought that I was manifesting, the relationship, and I thought I was manifesting that. And I really wasn't. I needed to be the version of me that could handle taking in all of that information from another person. I needed to be the version of me that truly loved myself enough to love somebody else. I needed to garner the feeling of unconditional love within me so that I could also hold that space for somebody else.
So some people think that it's literally like you're forcing somebody back into your life. Like, is this meant for me? Am I interfering with the universe's law? No, because you don't have the power to do that. So I would not go that far. I would just say, okay, I have a desire. It's longing, it's panging. I'm constantly in the state of waiting for it. So I'm just going to accept the fact that I have this desire. So the first step is acceptance. You have this desire, stick with it. Stop questioning why it's there. Useless. Literally a waste of time. Second thing is you need to start auditing your thought process. How you're gonna get anything is through your actions, through your thoughts, and that is what creates your reality, right? So let's break that down for a second. What does creating your reality mean? That is a frequently used phrase in this community, the manifestation community. Creating your reality is basically just another way of saying that every single thing in this world is coming from your perspective. What is your perspective comprised of? Thoughts, beliefs, right? And we talked about that in our last video with the lunar eclipse. Your belief system is the most fundamental part of who you are. Every sort of thought and action comes from that belief system. I'm using my words really carefully, so write down or keep in mind when I'm using the word thought versus when I'm using the word belief. If I have a dominant thought process that is against my manifestation is I have a red car that I love. That's your manifestation. You want a red car and you want to love it. Okay? I have a red car that I love. If your dominant thought process is I will never be able to afford that, this won't happen.
Do you want so badly to get out of your situation, situation A, and put yourself into situation B, which is your ideal, because you hate situation A? Are you telling yourself every day, I hate this, I feel so limited, I hate this? Is there a chance that you're coming at situation B with a sense of desperation? Are we allowing for the channel of gratitude to go through us?
What instead you need to do is start to think about what your baseline belief systems are around money. Because your thought process is, I will never be able to afford that. Now you gotta ask why. Why can't I afford that? What are your baseline belief systems around finance? What situations were you in when you were younger that made you believe anything about your financial situation? Like, what were the key indicators on what your financial situation was? Do you have a good relationship with money? Are you comfortable checking your bank account? There's a lot of different ways that we can understand what our relationship is to money. So just literally journaling, what is my relationship to money, will help you understand exactly where your mindset is. You want to start thinking dominantly in favor of what your manifestation is. Right? That doesn't mean that you're thinking positive thoughts necessarily. Like I tried to debunk this on TikTok back in the day because I was like, there's no need of like putting labels like positive and negative. Rather, it's just like, is this favorable towards my manifestation or is this unfavorable towards my manifestation? Is my dominant thought process, let's say you're manifesting a specific person, is my dominant thought process, he doesn't love me, or I'm unlovable, or why would he come back, or why would he choose me, or you're putting yourself in a situation where you're letting that other person be on a higher pedestal than you, and so you're like, there's no way that this is ever going to happen to me, and like you're like looking up at this person or looking up at this situation, like I'll never be able to have a red car that I love because I can't afford it and I'm all the way down here. So that leads me to my third point. Where are you in relation to your manifestation? If you look at your manifestation as like this massive thing that you're like looking up towards and it's like on this pedestal, it will constantly and always be there. You will always be down here and the manifestation will always be up here and you'll be always looking up at it. Rather, you've got to move yourself up here on the same frequency of what you perceive your manifestation to be. If I want 1 million followers, right? I'm looking at 1 million followers as this massive feat. I'm never going to be able to achieve it. I'm never going to get there. And I can think of all the different thoughts that will give me evidence of that reality. Do I have 1 million followers right now? No, but I will eventually. But I don't have that now, right? And if I go and say, because I'm a terrible content creator, because I'm not consistent, because of blah, 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 and there's noise in my head, then it's putting me here and putting my desire here, right? I'm not saying that 1 million followers is my desire, but you get my point. The point is, like, if you think like manifesting your SP is like, and your SP is like over here, like your specific person is over here and you're down here, you got to match yourself to that frequency that you perceive this thing to be. So if I think like 1 million followers is going to give me a million new opportunities, if I think it's going to give me a lot of money, if I think it's going to improve my status somehow, if I think it's going to be like this life-altering thing, then I've got to show up as if this life-altering thing is my life. That gets me into the fourth thing, scripting. Scripting is basically a journal entry process where you write as if you already have your desire and you're living life that way. The common mistake that I've seen is people think that scripting is you detailing the how and the when and like you talking about in your journal the day that you receive your manifestation. Rather, I would want you to kind of think 20 days or 3 years or 10 years into you having your desire, what does your life look like? So not the day that your SP texts you and says, hey, I love you, let's get back together, not that day. 10 years from then, what does your life look like with that person? How do you feel? What do you smell? How do you react to things? How happy are you? How excited are you? Are you at peace? Like, channel the emotions of already having the desire. Not the day that you get the desire, but already having it. When you start to think about your desire of already having it, you're gonna be able to map out your day a little bit easier. Like today I woke up and I made a cup of coffee and I said hi to my husband and I really love my new life and blah, 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 blah. And you like detail all the little things that you want to see in your life or what you think your perfect life is. And if you do that consistently for 30 days at least, right? 30 days was kind of like my thing where it was like I wanted to test out a certain technique for 30 days and then I would do that and I would just continue doing that. So I have been scripting for like 4 years now. Scripting helps you put you in the mindset of already having what it is that you want So then you can just kind of grab affirmations from what you've written down. I've not really found a lot of success from stealing other people's affirmations. Like I know I put them in every video, but that's just kind of like because people have asked me over the years to put affirmations in my videos. So I'm just in the practice of doing that. But I personally don't like taking other people's affirmations because it just doesn't make sense to me. Like when I first heard the affirmation, I am loved, I like was so confused by that. I was like, I'm loved? How is that helpful? Why do I need to know that? Or I am beautiful, or I am kind. I'm like, what are these words? Like, why do I need to tell myself those things? And it just didn't register because I didn't believe the affirmation. And because I didn't believe the affirmation, I didn't say it that often. And so my mind didn't transform. When I created my own affirmations that were specific to me and my situation and my healing journey, I found myself being able to say them a lot more. And because of that, I felt a lot more autonomous in this journey. I felt super independent. I didn't need anybody on YouTube to tell me how to think and how to feel because I no longer needed that. I needed it in the beginning. But there came a point where I was like, oh wait, I can do this on my own. And that was revolutionary for me. And I want every one of you to get to that point where you don't need anybody on YouTube, on social media to tell you how to feel about your desires. You know, and that's kind of what we're doing with affirmations when we need them from other people, or we need journal prompts from other people. It's because we don't know ourselves yet quite that well. And so just try to script first and try to just like write down what your perfect day looks like with your specific person, and then trace back and see like, okay, how do I feel now that I'm with this person? How do I feel now that I have this red car? How do I feel now that I have 1 million followers? How do I feel now that I have $1 million in my bank account? Whatever it is, you know? It's like, now that I'm in this relationship and I'm married, how do I feel? Think thoughts from that state, not thinking of that state. A lot of people will make the mistake of thinking thoughts of that state of you having your desire. Rather, you need to think thoughts from that state. There's a difference. If I'm thinking thoughts of that state, of having 1 million followers, or of having a red car, or of having my SP, there's still this distance between me and the desire. If I'm sitting in this thought process of having it, I'm gonna be able to think thoughts from that state, which means I'm gonna start feeling like I have it. Sixth thing, and arguably the most important thing that you can do on this journey is be grateful. Hands down. Because think about it logically. What are you gonna feel now that you have your desire? What's like the first thing that you're gonna say? Thank you. Thank you, universe, for giving me what I want. This is what I've been asking for. Thank you. And you're not gonna be surprised when you get what you want. You're just not. I've never, yes, you're like, whoa, this actually works. And there's like that feeling of like, oh my God, I can't believe this actually happened in my life. And I can like be one of those millions of people who've seen success from law of assumption. Yeah, you'll have that moment. And I definitely did. But you're not gonna be like surprised. It's not gonna come as a shock because you've already been like in the state of having it for so long, and like you're already like dominantly thinking from your spiritual mind anyway, that the 3D reality is like whatever. And that's like the most freeing thing ever. And the best part about this journey is when you have this reliance and this like grounding in your spiritual mind rather than the 3D world. And it's so freeing. It's so freeing. It means that whenever someone tells you that manifestation is stupid, you're like, whatever, I don't care if you think that way. Negative opinions don't affect you that much. Anyone saying the opposite of your desire. I never even like talked about the fact that me and my now husband broke up when it happened to my friends and family. Like I never even talked about it. I told my parents and I told my sister, but like, and I told one friend, but I like didn't go into detail, and I just didn't explain myself because I knew that I was going through this process, and every single time I said the opposite, like, oh, we broke up or we're not together, it would like contradict what I was doing in my spiritual mind. So I just like never said it out loud. And it worked well for me because I didn't have to like backtrack in my journey at any point. Same thing with the car. Like I manifested the car, and I was like, you know what? Like I just said like, I want this car. Same thing with this apartment. I like wrote down what I wanted in this apartment, and it's okay if you look crazy for a little bit, because you will end up getting what you want, and it's just so freeing, and you'll just have this like reliance on your spiritual mind.
Now, I'm sure we've all heard about manifestation, and I'm sure we've all heard the instruction, do not react to the 3D. Now, I want to provide you some reasons as to why that is, so that every time you do feel triggered, you can go back to this logical reasoning and then decide how you want to react from there. Today is a manifestation of our old thought process. The word old is entirely relative. We have no idea how old some of these thought processes are. So it could be 2 days ago, it could be 2 months ago, it could be years and years and years ago as to why we feel triggered today. So when we do react, we are reacting on something that is considered the past, right? So if we're reacting and something just unfolded, it's because of our past belief systems. Now, if you are working to change your self-concept, if you are working to revive and renew some of your belief systems that are in favor of what you want, you can't necessarily depend on this moment right now to dictate if this is actually going to happen for you, because this is old thought processes. It's not a good measure of your manifestation or the outcome of it. Now, for me, I really resonate with the concept of depending on my own spiritual mind to guide me. I don't want or need someone else to tell me that I'm on the right path. There are days where I really, really want validation, and there are days where I really, really want approval. But that's just my inner child kind of screaming at me, being like, you never really received it from your parents. You never really received it from your friends. You just want it from someone else because there's this giant lack in your life that makes you feel like you need that. And now that I'm 24, 25 years old, I can go back into my mind and say, well, hey, you are on the right path. So not attaching myself to the 3D allows me to have more autonomy and have more reliance on my spiritual mind, which then allows me to use my intuition to take action when I need to, which is now what we call inspired action. So relying on myself allows me, or relying on my spiritual mind, I should say, allows me to continuously practice the art of intuition. Lastly, the reason why you want what you want is because your heart is calling you to it. Your desires are from your past life, right? That's the only reason why we're back on this planet per Hinduism. We're back here because we're here to fulfill our karma. And so any sort of desire that we have is not just innate to us, but it's coming from our own mind. Therefore, the only validation that you can ever seek that's truly appropriate is from you. So you determine if it's actually here or not.
There's like a whole thought process subsection of spiritual psychosis. I don't know too much about it, so I'm probably not the best person to talk about it, but I know that some people can feel really, really out of their body and they can go through a lot of like spiritual psychosis. I personally have not experienced that. Rather, I just kind of have this grounding of Hinduism and have this grounding that God is the one who's actually guiding me through this journey. And I speak to my parents often, so like there's a lot of ways where I've like found my own grounding, you know? Meditation was really helpful for me. I meditated during that time every single day, 3 times a day, and that was really beneficial. It was like at least 20 minutes where I would either put on like a chakra meditation, or I would do like a silent meditation, or I would do like an affirmation meditation. There's tons of resources on YouTube, but that really helped me kind of get into the state of my desire. But yeah, going back to what I was saying before, like, you know, being grateful is being in the state of receiving. If you think about like what is the state of receiving, I've heard that, like, especially when I first started this journey, everyone was like, you need to be in the state of receiving your desire. And I was like, what does that even mean? I don't get it. What that means to me is like the day that I receive my desire, like I'm gonna feel so grateful. I'm gonna feel so thankful. I'm gonna feel like really at peace. And those feelings are reminiscent of being in the state of receiving. And so when you're in that state of receiving and you're perpetually in that state, you kind of don't notice any sort of contradictions that you see in your 3D world. Rather, you're fully in your spiritual mind, and that's where that's where you're happiest. That's kind of like a little intro. I know it's already like 20 minutes into the video, but that's kind of like an intro into the world of manifestation. If you've had any questions thus far, just type them out into the comment section below and I'll make as many parts as you need me to, or elaborate on any point that I've made so far. I just don't know where we are yet, you know, in this like relationship that we now have and that we're building. So you let me know what your knowledge level is at in the manifestation world, and I'll meet you there, and we'll get on the same page. Let's get into your questions. Oh, it's 4:44. Okay, so I've been thinking of ways to keep my manifestation for good and for long term. Any ideas? This person says that they're still manifesting and they're way more chill and trusting in the ways things unfold now. So I'll address you being in the process of manifesting your desire, and then I'll talk about after you received your desire, how are you supposed to feel? Because those are two different things. Like, some people will get really anxious while they're in the process of manifesting something that they're not going to be able to keep it. Other people get nervous that once they receive their desire, they're not going to be able to keep it for long. But both of them kind of have the same answer. You have to build the self-trust. It's the act of being able to rely on yourself. It's the mindset that I have me and that's all I need. You were able to get yourself to this point successfully. Okay, every single good thing, bad thing, everything that you have in your life right now, you have manifested. And so kind of taking accountability of that and being like, I've created all of these situations. Again, don't take me out of context, because this is not saying that negative situations that have happened to you are your fault. This is not about placing blame at all. This is about, what is my mindset? My mindset. What is my thought process? Do I trust myself? Do I respect myself? Those are your thought processes. No one has the license to make you feel any sort of negative way. No one should have the power to do that. In the past, if they've had the power to do that, fine, so be it. That's what it was. We didn't know this information then. So we can't fault ourselves for reacting the way that we did in the past. All that we can do right now is, in this moment, do I feel like I have accountability over my life? The answer has to be yes. So if you build this level of self-trust, you will be able to rid yourself of the fear of losing whatever it is that you are afraid of losing, because you've brought yourself up to here, to this point. So you should not be afraid of losing your manifestation once you have it, or keeping it long term. The actual mechanism of keeping it long term is the same mechanism that you're going to be using now. Thinking thoughts from the state of having it. So let's say, let's just talk manifesting your SP. Let's say that he comes in, she comes in, whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm so happy, love this person, thank God this worked for me, right? Couple weeks go on, you start asking them questions about what they did when you guys were broken up, or you start getting insecure. He's going out, she's going out, you're insecure, blah, blah, blah. Like, you kind of have to go back into your mind and be like, I am secure, I am loved, this person loves me, and I have respect for myself, I trust myself. And you go back to the affirmations that you were using while you were chill and trusting of the process. So your fallback should always be your spiritual mind. Your fallback is always, I already have this. I'm at peace. I trust myself. There are ways that you can build self-trust too. We make an appointment with a friend and that friend keeps canceling every single time. Are you gonna build trust with that person? Are you gonna trust that they're gonna come through? Probably not, right? Like, if you're expecting them to come through, but then they haven't come through the last like 10 times, would you expect them to come through the 11th time? No, right? So that kind of works with us too. Like, how many promises am I making to myself but not following through with them? I promised myself I was going to go to the gym. I promised myself I was going to eat healthy. I promised myself I was going to start that business, save extra money. I don't know, journal every day, meditate every day, whatever your promises that you keep to yourself. Like, are you fulfilling them? If the answer is no, then you're not going to build that self-trust. You got to work yourself to having your actions and your thoughts be the same. If my thought is, I go to the gym every single day, I love my body, I'm so healthy, you're gonna be more likely to do that than, I'm fat, I am not worthy of this body, I hate my body, I hate this. Like, you can't hate yourself into changing. So you gotta build yourself trust by just following through on your own promises. Easier said than done, for sure. I totally get that. But that's the best way to build that self-trust, is like, you know, I know that I've got me. I know that my spiritual mind has got me. So no matter what situation comes by, I'm going to be able to manifest whatever I want out of this. Because consciously manifesting is taking your power back. It's putting the reliance on you and your accountability and your spiritual mind. You know, a lot of people who don't believe in this or who don't do conscious manifesting are still manifesting, but they're doing it through their subconscious mind, which is dictated by beliefs that maybe no longer serve them. And so everybody's manifesting all the time, no matter what. There's really no off button, because it's coming from your thoughts. Your thoughts create your reality because it's creating your perception. So I always go back to the fact that, you know what, my spiritual mind has got me thus far. I'm going to be able to take myself even further because I have reliance on my own mind and I know how this process works. If I'm dominantly thinking that I'm going to lose something, that's exactly what's going to happen. So I don't want you to have this fear with your thoughts, because I think a lot of people at this time in their journey start to think like, oh my gosh, so can I never think a negative thought? Can I never be upset? Can I never be sad? That's not the case at all, actually. You have to think about your dominant thought process. Dominant thought process. Not every fleeting thought, because we have like 70,000 of them. We're not going to track every single thought that we have like that. It's physically impossible. Trust me, I've tried. You're going to think your dominant thought process towards a subject. Like, how do I show up in love? How do I see myself as a girlfriend? How do I see myself as a wife? How do I see myself as a daughter? How do I see myself as, you know, like to blank, to your manifestation? How do I see myself in relation to SP? How do I see myself in relation to this red car? How do I see myself in relation to money? If you have a good relationship with them, you're going to be able to work with both of them all the time. And you need to be able to see yourself as like this entity that has a relationship with another entity and match the frequency of both. If I'm dominantly thinking that I'm going to be able to get what I want, then you know, that's your indication that you're on the right track. If for some reason you don't feel like you're on the right track, I would shift your focus to scripting or affirming or meditating, because you need to, again, just kind of gain that self-trust with your spiritual mind. It's a journey. Like, you're building a relationship with yourself, which is why this whole journey is such a beautiful thing, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I built a relationship with myself, you know? And that is so powerful. No one is going to ever be able to take that away from me. No one. No one has the power to ever take this journey away from me, and no one will be able to take it away from you. And that is just golden. It's your one-way ticket to self-love. It's your one-way ticket to self-respect. And that's what this journey has done for me. So I want you to just like think about the fact that this is under your control. And even when you do get your manifestation, and if you're insecure and if you're nervous, just go back to your affirmations. Just go back to dominantly thinking that I've got me, you know? Okay, so this person's situation, they sent me a couple paragraphs, so I'm not gonna, just out of the respect for this person, I'm not gonna say it all out loud. But this was a really bad heartbreak due to his workload and trauma, couldn't commit, didn't treat her the best, didn't reply to her properly, unblock that whole situation. But then she's saying that she misses him badly. The only solace that would probably be helpful to you is going on this self-love journey. Self-concept is probably the most essential aspect of manifesting anything. You can't do really much without knowing where you are in your self-concept journey. So self-concept is basically, who am I in relation to X? X could be this person, X could be a car, whatever, you know the examples. So who am I in relation to my manifestation? If I dominantly think that I am, you know, this like heartbroken person and I'm identifying as her, unfortunately, that's just kind of the mindset that we're gonna be stuck in. Rather, shift your focus to the thing that you do want. A lot of times we dominantly think about the thing that we don't want. And that comes from fear, it comes from anxiety, but ultimately it comes from this like attachment that we have to our desire. We're not able to confront our desire so confidently. A lot of times we try to shy away from it and we say like, oh, it's not that I want that. It's not that I want him to come back. It's not that I want this relationship, or, you know, we try to front to ourselves and we make up excuses as to why we can't, you know, think dominantly in our own favor. If I were you and I was like really, really heartbroken and I just didn't know how to move forward and all these feelings were weighing on me, a couple things that I would do is I would just purge it all out by journaling every single morning and just writing down every single negative thing that I felt, and every single thing I felt, not even just negative thing, but I would just pour out my entire emotions into my journal. And I talked about this on TikTok today, but I essentially would just do stream of consciousness and just like purge it all out, literally just spit it all out on a journal page. And I would do that until I felt better. That it took me like months to feel better. Okay, so it's okay. Your emotions don't have to dictate where you are in this journey. That's not what this is about. This is about your dominant thought process. This is not about your emotions. Emotion, energy in motion. It's meant to flow. It's meant to fluctuate. Just let that be. There's no point of like forcing yourself to be happy, because I think that's when like there's a term coined spiritual bypass, but there's this like feeling of just like toxic positivity that people have online with manifestation, and that's not at all what I think needs to happen. You don't need to force yourself into a state of peace and bliss and happiness if you're not feeling that way. It's so much better to just like look at your emotions like water and like flow with them and let them just be. The thing that I would really focus on is like where's your thought process in relation to yourself? Like, how do you see yourself right now? You know, do you think you're beautiful? Do you think that you're smart? Do you think that you're kind? Do you think, like, what's your relationship with you? And really go into the self-concept work. I have a few ebooks, e-journals for manifesting love, grounding, and gratitude, and I have an inner child one. So those have like a ton of journal prompts that might be helpful for you. I would really just work on your self-concept, like how do I see myself in relation to this manifestation? The next thing is about finding a husband via arranged marriage. It was a personal choice, ready to take the next step, difficult finding somebody who actually wants marriage for the right reasons. How do you get yourself to manifest when it feels like the universe doesn't want what you want for yourself? That again goes back to what I was saying earlier in the video. Like, I have not found success in looking at myself separate from the universe. I don't try to speak for God. I don't try to speak for the universe by saying like, this is not meant for me. Like any blockage that I experience, I literally pretend like it's not there, because there's nothing preventing me from getting what I want at all. It's my own mind. It's my own mind. There are limitations, of course. Today, can I expect tomorrow to see $1 million in my bank account with no action? No, that's an unreasonable desire in my opinion. In my opinion, I should not expect my bank account to change overnight. That's not the point. This is not about the how and the when. You want to find somebody who's doing this for the right reasons. You want to go through this arranged marriage process and find somebody who's a good match for you. That's a very reasonable desire. All you really need to do is just get yourself into the state of already being in a healthy, happy relationship. I am in this healthy, happy relationship with someone who loves and respects me. Simple as that. Repeat that affirmation and write down any sort of contradiction that you have to that notion. That's another really great way to do shadow work, is if you say an affirmation or if you're telling yourself this certain affirmation, your brain will kind of tell you all the reasons as to why you're wrong about that. Like if you have this affirmation of like, I am loved, and you're genuinely trying to get yourself to a place where that's your default thought process, your brain will do like all the work for you, because it will tell you all the reasons why you are not loved. Write all of those things down. That is your shadow work prompt homework essentially for the next day. Now you know exactly where your insecurities are lying. So if you say the affirmation to the person that's looking for the arranged marriage, if you say the affirmation, I'm in a healthy, happy relationship with somebody who loves me and respects me, right? And who I love and I respect. And if you say that every single day, write down every single contradiction that you have to that, and then start journaling on that. And then start really doing everything you can in your power to get yourself dominantly thinking that I am in this healthy, happy relationship with somebody who, you know, we're mutually loving and respecting each other. Whatever it is that you want, frame it in the sense of an affirmation. Let's go back to the red car. I love my red car. I'm so happy that I have this red car. I just love that it's like safe and it takes me from point A to point B. I love how I feel in it. I love how I look in it. I love the way that I'm like, I love that I can afford it. I love that it's like, you know, my dream car or whatever. What contradictory thoughts are coming up when I say those things? That's your shadow work, homework. And then you just keep reinforcing the same idea. Why is that necessary? Why is reinforcing necessary? Fantastic question. When you're 0 to 7 years old, all of your like world views are kind of being formed. And then as you grow up, your mind is sort of finding reinforcements to those belief systems, or you're able to heal from them and you're kind of turning the belief systems on its head and being like, nope, that's not true for me. I'm actually going to believe this now. And so I'm overly simplifying this, but essentially the thing that cements a belief system into your subconscious brain is just the repetition, the sheer repetition of that. Like if you're told every single day, and I mean every single day, when you're a kid that you are not worthy of this life, or you have like really abusive language that's surrounding you, that's kind of where your dominant thought process could be and how you see yourself. And so the repetition is what's really important. And we're trying to hack our subconscious brain by doing this conscious manifestation techniques, right? Like we're hacking our subconscious brain, and the best way and pretty much the only way that I found for it to be successful and for it to be permanent is if you're repeating it a million times. I'd be washing dishes and I'd be like, I'm in a healthy, happy relationship. I'm in a healthy, happy relationship. I'm in a healthy, happy relationship with the person that I love. You have to be focused. You have to be focused. You have to control your mind, and you have to learn how to rely on your spiritual mind dominantly. And the best way to do that is by practicing and giving yourself the grace of going on a journey. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. I kind of like bring a contrary opinion to this. Neville Goddard was able to manifest like his desire in 3 days. Like he like steeped his mind in like these thought processes and was just like permeating his subconscious brain just constantly through repetition for 72 hours straight. And he got what he wanted in like 3 days. So I have heard like stories like that where people are able to, you know, manifest their desires in like a couple days. That's never been the case for me. I've always worked really hard to get what I wanted when it comes to like training my mind. But one little side note that I wanted to bring up is that some of these white content creators, white manifestation coaches may not know all of the POC's traumas and troubles. And so finding somebody that you trust that is a person of color, if you are a person of color, might be able to bring a little bit more clarity to this. There's a little bit of a different type of muck that we have to work through when it comes to our subconscious mind. That's just the reality of the situation. Race does play a role in our belief systems, and we have to acknowledge that and respect our own journey for it. So I wouldn't even compare yourself to other people that like some people got their manifestation in like 3 months, some people got it in a year. Like, why is it taking me so long? I'm constantly in this waiting game. I'm constantly sad. I'm constantly like, I feel like this longing and this panging, and I'm constantly waiting. It's like the how and the when is none of your business. My job, I have to meet the universe halfway, right? The universe is here. She wants to give me everything that I want. I'm here, right? I've got to meet her halfway by at least dominantly believing that I'm going to have this. And what does that mean for me? That means that I have to change. Right? I drove out every other relationship in my life. I drove out that job. I drove out the red car. I did not, that's funny, but I'm the one who created the separation between me and my desire. That's accountability, right? If I'm manifesting all the good things in my life, I also manifested the shitty. And that's important to know because it's reversible. That's exciting. There's hope there. Right? You're gonna be able to get whatever it is that you want in this lifetime because you did before. You just weren't doing it consciously. Now we're doing it consciously. So our mind and our thoughts might be 10 times louder than they were before, and it might seem like we're more anxious than before. But again, it's only because we haven't been thinking about our thoughts in that way. Now we're thinking about our thoughts in that way. Now we're auditing. Now we're paying attention to our emotions. Now we're paying attention to the words that we're hearing. We're paying attention to the stuff that we're watching. Feedback loop. There's so much to this, and we're finally taking accountability for it, which means that our mind is just going to be louder. But it doesn't mean that you're behind. And it doesn't mean that you need to be waiting for anything, because the how and the when is none of your concern, right? The only thing that matters is what. What is it that I want? Can I put it into an affirmation? Can I start scripting from that place? And can I just sit in that energy? Sit in the energy of being grateful. That was a lot. I know that was a lot. That was a lot for me too. So if this was a lot for you, take it in, watch it a couple times, see if it makes sense for you. And as always, my DMs are open. My comment section is open. So let's have a discussion. I think that this is something that has truly changed the course of my life, which is why I'm trying to bring it back into this channel now. And I highly recommend, even if you're not consciously manifesting something, to at least audit your thoughts and think about what you're dominantly thinking about. One little side note, I used to be very, very transparent about my relationship. I don't regret doing that. I don't regret, talking about my relationship and my breakups and everything at length. It's all still on my TikTok. I haven't deleted anything. There's a different set of boundaries that I want to set when it comes to sharing that online. He's happy to be on camera. He's not in the house right now, so I don't know why I keep gesturing that way. But he's been on countless videos with me, and just out of the respect of him and our relationship, I'm not going to be talking about the nitty-gritty or like some of the complicated stuff and some of the more personal stuff. I'm happy to reflect on my SP journey with you through questions, but kind of bringing this information out after 3 years, I've been married for almost a year now, so bringing this out is kind of difficult for me. So it's so much easier. Like I'm much better at creating, manifesting SP content when I have questions that guide me. So if you want a video from me, please ask me the question, because then I'll be able to kind of help you in a more direct manner, just because I'm married now, and I'm living that life now, right? I'm not really in that mindset of like bringing this relationship into my life. Do you get what I'm saying? So I hope you respect my boundary there. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this video. I really love talking about this. I just want to make sure that I'm being as helpful to you as I can. So please let me know if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, and I will be here whenever you need me. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.